Jim Nicholson, a number of ideas here to try and get fairer prices for dairy farmers. If we could take them perhaps one by one. What about the idea of allowing dairy farmers to join producer organisations? Is that something we might see more of in the UK under this?
Well, we already have it in some areas where there are cooperatives, and the cooperative, any members of cooperative will deemed to be contracted to that cooperative. I'm a great believer in delegating back to the member states so they can implement the best deal for them within themselves. And I would really want to see the member states making those decisions, not dictated from Europe, and not try to impose a one suit fits everybody in 27 member states, because the one thing I discovered in trying to find the compromises, it just wasn't possible.
Do you think this is something that farmers in the UK would be interested in, though? The idea of perhaps joining producer organisations?
I think some will, and I think we've got to give that option and leave that option there. But the one thing we cannot do in the UK is to ensure that our dairy farmers are in any way disenfranchised from the rest of Europe, because to a large extent, if you read the agriculture press at the minute, the number of people leaving the dairy sector in the United Kingdom is phenomenal, and the only reason they're leaving is because of the profitability. Now, the devil in the detail of this report, while I'm dealing with producers and I'm dealing with the processors, it doesn't deal with the retailers who really control the price. And that is something I think as we go along in this, I'll be advocating that the retailers have to be dealt with as well.
One of the other ideas in the report is compulsory written contracts. Who would these contracts be between?
Well, the contracts will be between the POs, the organisations, the processors and the supplier, and that is where you've got to have the degree of loyalty, the degree of trust. So number one, the processor knows how much milk they're going to have, and the producer knows how much milk they can supply, because it's very important for the producer as well to receive a fair price, so the processor needs to be able to keep that market fairly even. The big danger in all of this is by no way a guarantee that when we move away from the present situation to contracts, this is by no way a guarantee that it's going to change the dairy industry. Quotas has been there, and quotas have controlled the market in size. And I give this warning, a very stern warning: if producers continue a massive expansion in milk that there's not a market for, they will ultimately destroy the actual market. So they need to be warned. This is not a license to produce milk wholesale.
I mean, whether these contracts are compulsory or not, do you think that they could help farmers in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK?
Only time can tell, and it'll be down to production. If farmers overproduce milk, then the price will simply go down. I did meet people from Switzerland who've moved from quotas to contracts, and in fact they have not had a good experience. And I just want to try and ensure that within the rest of Europe we do not make those mistakes, because I know there are certain parts of Europe at the moment. While Europe at the moment is around about 7% under quota, there are some countries who are actually paying super levy and are over quota, and some countries are actually getting themselves ready for 2014 when quotas go, so they can produce more milk. I give them this warning: be very careful, you've got a market for what you're producing.
Just finally, you mentioned that this report doesn't actually tackle the retailers. What would you actually like to see happen on that score?
Well, that's something the Commission are going to have to deal with. As you know, in the UK, the government is coming forward with some kind of a regulator for the industry. We've got to see how that works. It's worked in electricity, it's worked in other areas, energy, it's worked in other areas, water, and I think it's something we have to look at. We have got to see whether this works or not. But I have also going to build in a clause that the Commission must revisit this situation 3 years after implementation. So if there are problems, that they can be put right.